Hello and welcome. So, some of the upcoming changes to PayPal's policies that were just announced are going to impact your privacy and also how you impact or spend money using their service. So this is including things like ACH, which I'll explain in a minute, fundraising that you might do, that type of thing. So this is information that is important not only for merchants who are using PayPal in any way, or anybody who's using PayPal to collect money from anybody, but also those of us who, make purchases online, who sometimes have no choice but to use PayPal because that's the only option. So let's talk tech about the steps you're going to need in order to prepare yourself for what's coming. Let's get started. Hello and welcome. So, companies make changes to their policies, their terms and conditions all the time, right? And sometimes it has more impact than others. Sometimes it's just like legal wrangling, and sometimes it has direct impact. The things that have just been announced, and of course all the links are in the description, but the things that have been announced are definitely going to have a direct impact on not only merchants, but also anybody who's just using PayPal either to send money back and forth or to make purchases, that type of thing. And some of these issues or some of these changes are going to impact your privacy unless you take steps. And others are just about, how you collect and pay, including ACH, which I'll explain in a minute, but also any type of fundraising that you might do or participate in. So we're going to talk about what's going on and the steps that you need to take. This is not it's not radical stuff, but it is stuff that you need to be aware of, and I highly recommend taking the privacy steps because if you don't protect your privacy, nobody will. All right, so first tip is, as you're going through all of this stuff, and whenever you come across somebody who says, a vendor, says that they're going to share your data, what that means is they're selling your data, okay? So you're the product, and the thing is, it used to be, that was mainly if you're using like a free service, but it's now everything, right? Whether you're paying or free, it doesn't matter. They're selling your information, and that's not okay, right? If they want to pay you to sell it, maybe then we can talk. At least then you're getting something back for it. But just selling your information is not okay. So PayPal recently emailed users to alert them that the company is going to be sharing their data, our data, with third-party merchants, right? Now, they said this, right, and they sent the email out. Guess what? Not everybody got the email, including me. I found out about it because I keep an eye on the news. So if you have not seen this, this is news to you, which I understand, but it's also important to know that just because you didn't get the email doesn't mean it's not going to impact you. So according to the email, PayPal is going to begin gathering user data on November 27th, 2024. Now, this is already a bit of a misnomer because they're already collecting our data, right? What it sounds like they're going to do is they're going to be collecting more specifically with the goal of sharing it with merchants, is the word they used. So the email states that personal information we disclose, meaning PayPal, includes products, preferences, sizes, and styles we think you'll like. So they're really working hard to present this and focus this as a bonus to you. They're doing this for you. This is a benefit to you. No, it's not. They are gathering information that they're going to sell so that people can target you with more ads, do all kinds of things that they do with our data, right? Now, the way that they have presented this is that information gathered about you after the effective date, so after that November 27th, 24 date, is going to be shared with the stores where you shop. It's not going to end there. They're going to sell it to anybody who's willing to write a check to them. Let's be honest, right? Let's live in the real world, folks. So PayPal, has set this date and said they're going to start doing that. However, there are lots of reports out there saying that they're already collecting this and that they're not going to start selling it until the summer of 2025 to help improve your shopping experience and make it more personalized for you. Yeah, right, for us. So the reality is that for anybody who has a PayPal account, this is going to lead to at least more targeted ads, but also could be customized pricing, all kinds of not good things. And when I say customized pricing, it's not going to be customized to your benefit, right? They're going to customize it to get as much as they can from you. And that means that somebody's paying a little less, they're still trying to recoup or grab as much cash as they can from you. And selling your data is never okay. So there we're going to go. So the OG trans gamer. So yes to your first question. But for this topic, are they going to class the government as merchant? Who knows? Who knows who they're going to class? They're going to class anybody as merchant who can write the check. So that's the reality, right? Because that's how this is all going to work. Now, in the U.S., if you are a resident of California, Vermont, or North Dakota, this is an opt-in process, which frankly is what it should be for everyone. So what that means is they're not going to, in those 3 states, right? 3, yes. In those 3 states, you're going to have to actively go in and say, yes, please give away my data. For the rest of us, we have to go in and turn off this option manually. And if you don't, they're just going to go ahead and do it. Okay? And that's not okay, but this is how it is. And until we get some people who are willing to stand up for us and stop this automatic opt-in crap, we need to be on top of this kind of stuff. So if you want to go in and you want to turn off your data sharing, let me bring those instructions up. Now, this is a little bit small, I admit. Let me take this because you need every bit of space here. But and I never point the right way the right first time. But these are the instructions. You can screen cap this. I'll also put this in my link tree so that you have it. But it's not a simple process in that you have to go digging fairly deep in order to find it. But once you find it, it's just a toggle switch to turn off. That said, it's really a good idea for any application or tools that you're using to kind of go in and do this on a regular basis. I know it's not fun. I totally get that. But you do want to do this on a regular basis because these kinds of things are quietly done all the time. Like I said, they sent out emails. I know people who got the email. I didn't get the email, and I have multiple accounts. I checked all of my accounts, and not one of my accounts got the email. So, again, I always point wrong. But these are the steps to take to go in and do it, and then it is just the one toggle. I know, this is not fun, I agree, but we need to take steps in order to protect ourselves. Now, you can also, and there's nothing wrong with this, you can send an email to their support team and tell them that you're not okay with this having to be opt-out. You may not get information, you may not get any results back from them, you may not hear back from them, it may not have an impact, but then again, it doesn't hurt to let them know you're not happy. So be polite, because the poor person who has to read these emails is not the one doing the stupid things. But it does not hurt to make our voices heard wherever we can. Just saying. Okay, and for those of you who maybe are new here, welcome. My name is Kathleen. I'm here as your tech coach. Short version of the story is technology is my day gig. It's also my hobby. So friends, family, neighbors, co-workers tend to come to me when they have questions, when they want help, when they're not sure, like if they're looking to buy something, they're looking for recommendations. And I know not everybody has somebody who can help them with that kind of stuff. So hello, that's why we're here every single week. And you can always go back and check the previous shows I've done if you're looking for information, or you can reach out to the website there, yourtechcoach.com, if you have any questions, suggestions for topics you want me to cover, all that kind of good stuff. The best shows are recommendations and questions from you folks, so feel free. Whoops. All right, so let's get back into this, shall we? Alrighty. I don't know what I just turned on here, but let's turn that off. Okay, so the next topic is about their seller protection program, which is going to impact merchants and customers. So the seller protection program, again, another name that's a bit of a misnomer, but this is all around, when somebody purchases something from you and then somebody files a claim because they were unhappy or they just like trying to get things for free or, whatever. Sometimes there's legitimate issues and sometimes it's just people being people. So on both sides of the fence, it's good to know what's going on here. And again, all the links are in the descriptions if you want to see all this kind of stuff. Actually, I can just show you real quick. Here we go. text is really small. We can make this a little bit bigger, but this is a page you always want to keep an eye on anyway, and this is all of the stuff that's going on right now. Let me take that off so you can see a little bit more. But you can find out what's going on and get more details, and there's additional links in here. Understand everything is spun very carefully by their legal and marketing teams, so, you know, take what's here with a grain of salt, not that the information is not true, but the spin on it. So what we're talking about here is this part, right? So one of the things that they're doing is they're introducing a way for merchants to accept payments through ACH, which is Automatic Clearinghouse. So basically what that means is it's a way for you to exchange money directly from your bank account. So you give people information to your bank account or a service like this, and then instead of having using your debit card or credit card or whatever, it's taking it directly from your bank account. Now, anybody who's been around for any time here knows I strongly recommend not using your debit card for making payments. It's a dangerous thing. You're giving people direct access. This is slightly less dangerous than using your debit card, but still, you want to be very careful and you want to keep track of people who have that ACH access to your account, which we can do a whole nother show on. But this is a new service that they're going to make available. It is not necessarily a bad thing, right? It can be helpful for people. It can give them options that they, wouldn't have had otherwise. That said, it is going to have some impact. And one of those is that there's going to be additional fees around this, especially this new service. So that's going to trickle down because that's how this all works. And so that's going to impact the prices that you're paying as a consumer. But it's also going to impact merchants in that it's going to cost them more, if they choose to accept this way. And I don't know at this point, they're not really clear whether or not this is going to be an optional thing for merchants to make available or if it's just automatically going to be available. It should be opt-in, but that doesn't mean it will be. And as a part of this, just for clarity around things, right, they're renaming their service from PayPal Online Card Payment Services Agreement to PayPal Online Payment Services Agreement, which, okay, I mean, that makes sense because it's not really once they entered ACH into it, it's no longer just card that you're using in order to make your payments. So there is that. So take a look at the merchant fees. Whether you are a merchant or you are making purchases, it's important to take a look at that to understand why prices for goods and services that you're buying may be impacted by this type of thing, because it will be. The end amount that you're paying out for merchants and for consumers is going to be the same. Sort of tied to this is their update to their seller protection program. I realize I doubled back there a little bit, but these two are very closely linked. So the seller protection program, that's where, if somebody's unhappy with the transaction, they can file a grievance with PayPal, and how that works out changes a lot depending on the situation. But the core issue that I'm seeing here that's come up is that if a merchant wants to stand a good chance of being evaluated fairly in this process, they need to send whatever they're doing with tracking information, because they very clearly in different parts of this, as I went through and read it, said that if you don't have tracking information, this may not go well for you. Obviously, they didn't say it that way, but that's what the point was. They're like, you really want to do this. You really want to put tracking information on it, and you want to make that available to us. Now, why should you care as a merchant and or consumer? Well, again, that's another reason that all the costs are going to go up, because it costs more to send something with tracking on it than if you just pop it in the mail. So if you are selling anything, you want to make sure that you put, you provide it, you send it with tracking. Now this gets a little dicey if you're doing online stuff or services, and they don't really provide a lot of guidance at this point on what your options are for that, because it's one thing, if you're selling, something physical and it's going in the mail, okay, yes, there are different ways that you can, add additional fees on in order to get tracking on it. When you're talking about services and online stuff, that's not really the case. So I will be keeping an eye on this. If I do see anything that makes it clear what you're supposed to do, if you're on that other side of the fence, I will let you know. But right now, we really don't know, which is not great. Yeah. So let me see, make sure, because I did jump around here. Let me make sure I'm giving you the important information. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So if you're interested in this type of thing, if you'd like to stay up to date on what I'm doing and the content I'm putting out, highly recommend you sign up for the mailing list. I do not sell it to anybody. This is just a way for me to communicate with people who are interested in this content, let them know what the topic's going to be, any other things, because there are some other things coming down the road very quickly. So if you want to be first one to hear about that, feel free to go ahead and sign up for the mailing list. Those folks always find out first what the next show, what the next content is, and what other things I'm releasing. So there you go, for what that's worth. Okay, let's keep going. The next one that particularly now, and this is not on them, like, they didn't know that the hurricane was coming, I'm sure, when they spent, a year coming up with these changes. But they are discontinuing the PayPal fundraisers program. So if you've ever used PayPal for fundraising of any type, whether it's, a disaster or your organization, your group, whatever, the option of doing that is going away October 7th. So I'm recording this on October 4th. This stuff, I wonder if this date is on here. Hang on, I'm just realizing. Okay, so the policy updates were published on September 23rd. Not well communicated. Like I said, multiple accounts, no email for me. So not a lot of time or warning about this, but they are going to discontinue it, which means that you are not going to be able to start any new fundraising events online as of October 7th, 2024. So in a couple of days. You won't be able to create them at all. It's gone. Now, if you have a current fundraiser going before that date, that will remain open until it expires. So that one will be able to complete. The other important thing is you will need to make sure that you move any funds from your existing fundraisers into your regular PayPal balance. Better to get it out of PayPal, by the way, just as an aside. If you're using PayPal, don't let your money sit there. Get it out of there. You can look online for all the horror stories of people who received, money via PayPal and then were never able to get it out. So please be careful. Get it out of there quickly. They say that if you don't move your fundraiser money out by January 12th of 2025, which, again, not as far away as you might think, they're saying if you don't, that they will automatically move remaining funds into your PayPal balance on the 13th of January. However, since there will not be a policy or terms and condition in place for the fundraiser program at that point, I wouldn't count on it and I wouldn't trust it. So if you are somebody who does fundraising through PayPal or uses PayPal as one method of collecting donations, you do want to make sure that on or before January 12th, you have moved out whatever money you have collected there. They also make recommendations, like if you've created a fundraiser for charity at any point, that you keep a copy of the contributors to your fundraiser for your records. You can download that, because that information will also no longer be available after January 12th. So prepare yourself. Make sure you put a date in the calendar where you're going to go into your PayPal account for whatever fundraisers you've done and download everything you can. Move any of the money immediately, because you don't want to risk it, and the data will be gone and there will not be a way to get it back. So there's some conversation around, being able to track, contributor information for other input, but don't trust it. It's going to go away. It's going to be gone. So don't risk it. It's just not worth it. So those are the big updates for what's happening with PayPal. This is information you need to be proactive about. Absolutely everybody should be proactive about that privacy issue. Go through the steps. I'll bring those steps up again. One sec. Here they are. Let's get that away. So go ahead and do all those things as soon as possible. And again, I would make it a regular habit to go in and check those things, make sure that that little toggle is still selected, because things happen. But all of that kind of stuff, make sure that you've got it taken care of. Make sure you have a plan in place. If you are a merchant and whether or not you want to use ACH, keep an eye out to see whether or not they're going to turn it on or off. Factor that into your reality of needing to also add, to only use services that will let you track things that you ship out. Take a look at the fee changes to see how that's going to impact you, because it will. And also make sure that you are taking care of all of those details. Let's call them details. All of the changes that they're doing to you that maybe you think won't impact you, but they probably will. So stay on top of it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I am happy to get into more detail on any particular one of these as more information is provided. Like I said, the whole online thing with, if you're doing services or you're doing online digital goods, you're going to want to do some sort of tracking on that, whether that's read receipts or whatever. They were not specific. They were much more specific about the hard goods. So I'm sorry this isn't good news necessarily. It's also not the end of the world necessarily, but, personally, I choose not to use PayPal because they've had such a bad history. But there are times that it's not like a choice. Like sometimes for something I need to do, or sometimes I have a client that only will pay that way. So we're forced to deal with them sometimes whether we want to or not. So it's really important to stay on top of this kind of stuff. All right, everybody. So I hope everybody is good. As I said, go check the description. I've got all the links in there, and always feel free to reach out if you have any more questions. And we will talk again soon. Bye.